Hello, dear audience. Thank you for following the emotional story of James and Tu Diep's love. Today, we will continue to explore the new and thrilling developments in their journey. Tu Diep, a beautiful and intelligent girl, has lived a life full of challenges. However, her relationship with James has always been a source of encouragement, comfort, and a strong support in her difficult life. Yet, recent events have complicated everything more than ever. The conversation between Officer Ly and one of John's henchmen has unintentionally caused Tu Diep to misunderstand. She believes that Officer Ly, someone she thought was a good friend, is actually deceiving John's henchman to sabotage the case. Is this the truth? Or is it just a game that Officer Ly is playing to protect Tu Diep and James? Although Tu Diep has tried to stay rational and not let her emotions control her, her doubts about Officer Ly's loyalty have put her in a tense situation. Can she safely return to James and continue their peaceful life together, or will fate force them to part ways as secrets slowly come to light? This question is hanging over Tu Diep's mind, and she cannot easily find the answer. James, the man who always protects and loves Tu Diep wholeheartedly, is also facing a major challenge. He must not only deal with dangers from the underground world, but also find ways to protect Tu Diep from potential threats. Will their love be strong enough to overcome all challenges? Or, once again, will fate push them apart, creating a distance that is hard to close? Officer Ly, although seemingly an outsider, is actually an important figure in Tu Diep and James's lives. He is a trustworthy friend, but it cannot be denied that he has his own motives. The conflict between loyalty and secrets slowly being revealed will create unexpected twists in this story. Is Officer Ly truly helping Tu Diep and James, or does he have ulterior motives behind it all? In the moments of worry and uncertainty, Tu Diep must make an important decision about her future. Does she have enough courage to face the truth, no matter how painful it may be? Or will she continue to live in the dark, hoping for a brighter future with James? The story of James and Tu Diep is not just a love journey, but a struggle with the unknown. Each step they take faces hidden dangers and incredibly tough challenges. But it is their sincere love and mutual sacrifice that give them the strength to continue overcoming everything. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to not miss the next episodes of this story. Each new detail, each twist in the love journey of James and Tu Diep will keep you hooked. Stay tuned and share your feelings about this story. Love can overcome all challenges, but will it be strong enough to help James and Tu Diep overcome everything that awaits them ahead? After leaving Officer Ly's house, Tu Diep didn't hesitate for a moment. She immediately set out to find James. Her love for him had never faded, and despite the dangers awaiting her, she was determined to meet him again, to be with him once more. However, the path Diep had to take was never easy. Every step seemed to bring a new challenge, an invisible threat lurking, ready to shatter the hopes she so desperately longed for. As Diep walked through the quiet streets, suddenly, a drunken man appeared before her, staggering with unsteady steps but eyes full of menace. He wobbled closer, mumbling meaningless words, but in those glazed eyes, Diep sensed the hidden danger, before she could understand what was happening. The drunk man grabbed her arm, pulling her roughly as if wanting to drag her into some dark plot. Panicking, Diep managed to stay calm. She used every ounce of strength left to yank her arm free from his grasp, and without hesitation, she turned and ran. Her body trembled. Her legs felt as though they couldn't move from the fear. But the one thought that kept her running was the terror that if she stopped, there would be no chance for her safety. Every hurried step was a battle against the fear, against the threat closing in behind her. She ran through alleys and down side streets, desperately hoping to find a safe place. Yet the drunken man refused to give up. The sound of his footsteps echoed ever closer, chasing her like a predator. Exhaustion and panic surged within her, pushing her to the brink of collapse. But she knew that if she didn't keep running, no one would be there to help her now. In that moment, Diep's mind focused on one person, James. She wished he were there, standing beside her, protecting her from all danger. She thought of his warm gaze, remembering the times he stood firm beside her, shielding her like a barrier against every challenge. Every moment they had shared made her feel the strength of their love. He was the only support she had in this stormy life. After a frantic run, Diep finally found herself too weak to continue. She collapsed by the side of the road, surrounded by the stillness of the night. Her breath came in ragged gasps, and the panic inside her made it impossible to suppress her emotions. Tears streamed down her face, falling continuously, like a symbol of all the anxiety and fear swirling within her. She looked up at the night sky, where the stars twinkled, but everything seemed meaningless without James by her side. In that moment, she felt utterly alone. Diep recalled the happy moments she and James had shared, the peaceful afternoons together, the warm words, the gentle embraces. All of them made her heart ache. She remembered every smile James had given her, every loving glance he had sent her way. That was all she needed now, everything she longed for. Now, in the silence of the dark night, Diep felt as though she were battling the entire world alone. Yet, deep in her heart, she knew she would never give up. She would do whatever it took to overcome every obstacle, to one day meet James again, to face the challenges ahead together, even though everything seemed uncertain in that moment. A strong belief still burned brightly within her. Tu Diep would never abandon this love, and she believed that no matter what difficulties lay ahead, James would always be the one she would find when she needed him most. Officer Ly, although a man highly respected for his work and loyalty to the law, carried within him a special mission. He was not just an ordinary police officer, but a part of a larger operation to dismantle dangerous criminal networks, including John's organization. While everyone thought he was working with integrity, few knew the immense sacrifices he had made to infiltrate the very criminal syndicate he had once fought against. The process of joining John's network began when Officer Ly received crucial information about John's illegal activities, including his drug trade and other crimes. For years, John had been known as a notorious crime boss, running a vast network with sophisticated, hard-to-detect criminal activities. No one dared confront John directly, and breaking his network was a mission fraught with danger. As a result, Officer Ly was tasked with infiltrating this organization at all costs. At first, it was not easy for Ly to convince the members of John's organization. They were clever criminals, always on guard, and they did not easily trust outsiders. However, with his skills and tact, Ly managed to gain their trust. He pretended to be a failed drug dealer, threatened by other gangs seeking to join John's organization for protection. To accomplish this, Ly had to act flawlessly, showing desperation and a willingness to do anything to become part of John's criminal network. Officer Ly knew that only by joining John's organization could he gather enough evidence to bring down the entire network. However, to do this, he had to keep his secret and ensure no one discovered that he was an undercover officer. He became a crucial part of John's operations, and each day presented new challenges related to his morality and personal safety. Gradually, Ly became an indispensable part of various transactions, even acting as a key figure in the transfer of goods and money for John. He had to participate in many shady dealings, from drug trafficking to arms trading and even organizing bloody executions. Each day, Ly faced deadly dangers, and any mistake could reveal his true identity and cost him his life. However, Ly was not just an ordinary undercover cop. He had to play a psychological game with great finesse. He understood that it wasn't enough to just gather information. He needed to build strong relationships with John and his henchmen to make them believe that he was a trusted member of the organization. But, most importantly, Ly had to find the flaws in John's operations to eventually expose the entire criminal network. There were moments when Ly felt like giving up due to the immense pressure and danger, but he remained resolute. He could not allow his integrity to be overshadowed by the temptations around him. He remembered the ideals he had fought for throughout his career, the innocent lives he had protected. He knew that there was only one way to end what John and his cohorts were doing, by taking down the organization effectively. Finally, after months of hardships and challenges, Ly gathered enough evidence and devised a perfect plan to expose John's entire criminal network. In a coordinated raid, Officer Ly and his Special Forces team managed to capture John and the key members of his organization. However, before the attack took place, Ly had to face a difficult decision. Should he continue to keep his cover, or should he reveal his true identity as a cop, which would put him in grave danger? With all his courage and wit, Officer Ly overcame the final challenge. He dismantled John's organization, gathered enough evidence, and handed the criminals over to the law. But behind this victory was a price that Ly had paid dearly. Not only his health and his life, but also his freedom and the trust of those around him.
Dù tình yêu có mạnh mẽ đến đâu, có những thứ mãi mãi là một dấu hỏi. Kẻ đứng sau mọi chuyện vẫn luôn là mối đe dọa khôn lường, và Diêp biết để thực hiện thực sự yên lòng, anh phải đối diện với kẻ đó không chỉ vì Diệp mà còn vì chính bản thân mình. Liệu Diêp có thể tìm ra người đứng sau và giải quyết được những mối nguy hiểm này? Anh sẽ mãi mãi phải sống trong nỗi lo lắng, bất an khi mối đe dọa vẫn luôn rình rập. Câu chuyện không chỉ là về tình yêu mà còn là hành trình tìm lại sự bình yên, khám phá những bí mật sâu kín và đối mặt với những thử thách cam go. Hãy tiếp tục theo dõi, bởi những diễn biến bất ngờ và những quyết định khó khăn sẽ đến trong những tập tiếp theo, đưa câu chuyện tình yêu này lên một tầm cao mới.